संजय उवाच एवमुक्त्वार्जुनः सांख्ये रथोपस्थम् उपाविशत् विसृज्य दुःखशरं चापम् शोकसंविघ्नमानसः।
Most of the traditional texts, the Upanishads also start with the story, providing the backdrop for the conversation between the teacher and the student. But the Upanishadic background, that setup is very different from what we have here. The Upanishadic students go for avidya. They go to the teacher with the understanding that avidya is my issue, so solve it. Whereas in Arjuna's case, he is not coming for avidya. Ignorance is his problem and he is not coming for that. He is not approaching Krishna for avidya. What is his problem is what is getting explained in the first chapter. First chapter provides us the backdrop from where Arjuna is coming. And from where he is coming is very different from the traditional setup of the Vedantic texts. The traditional setup of Vedantic texts is where the student is not having any personal problem. He doesn't go to the master to ask, solve my personal issue. Arjuna is asking only for his sorrow. His problem is only sorrow. The disturbance, that agitation, or what we call as shokam. His problem is that. And he is describing his issue. In the first chapter, all that happens is two things. One, the backdrop, the setup, the stage is explained. And then how that stage is perceived by the student there. In the first chapter, Arjuna is not a student yet. Arjuna is not a student here. So that's why in a very, orthodox setup, most people don't touch the first chapter. They don't teach. For the reason one, Arjuna is not a student yet here. That's why he commands Krishna, as it were. Ratham sthapayame achyuta. In Sanskrit, when you say, it looks very beautiful. Hey, place the car there. That's what he says. And when you say in English, you understand. When you say in Sanskrit, it looks like as though he is, pleading. That's what we do. Most of the time when we do this puja and all that, rituals, 75% of the ritual mantras were all nothing but this is kept there, that is kept here, he is sitting here, he is sitting there. This is what we say. Actually, who is sitting where and what is kept where, who is coming, what time we are doing, where we are doing the ritual. This is 75% of the ritual mantra. Since we don't know the mantra, we think, such a great thing he is chanting and all those things. It is ignorance only, in fact. Same way, when we see here, go and place the chariot. He says it's a command he is giving to Krishna. So the starting point is he is seeing Krishna only as a driver. He is a driver, full stop. As far as Arjuna is concerned, first stage. Then Krishna does his job. He has no issues. He goes and places the chariot. And after placing the chariot, he starts seeing all his relatives, both the sides. That's the problem for him. He sees relatives in his side only then the whole scene would be very different. If he would have seen relatives only standing on the other side, he would have switched over. Right? The confusion for Arjuna is because he saw relatives on both sides. This is where the problem starts for him. And when he sees that scenario, the whole stage is set. This is all the first chapter is doing for us. There's no philosophy here. There's no message here, actually speaking. Strictly speaking, there's no message here. If at all you can derive any message from here, means we have to really stretch our imagination. You have to really stretch yourself. When you stretch yourself to maximum, you can get 1 or 2 points here and there. To do that 1 or 2 points, which is a matter of common sense as far as the students of Vedanta are concerned, we skip this thing quickly and brush it aside and move away quick. And then there is another issue we have here. If we spend more time explaining what Arjuna says, most of you will start thinking Arjuna is correct and Krishna is wrong. That risk is also there, which is a bigger risk. Because whatever he says is on paper correct. On paper, whatever Arjuna speaks is perfectly right. Nothing wrong in it. Isn't it killing your relatives is mitra droga? So what he says, no? Mitra drogesha patakam. Says. This is mitra droga. How can we do a droga to our mitra? Mitras here means not just friends. Includes relatives. Has to be taken in the wider connotation. Killing your own relatives. How can it be correct? All that he says. Now, whatever he says looks on paper correct, but in spirit wrong. On paper, whatever he says is correct. The tragedy is, most people when they read the Gita, it needs penetration to leave on paper and what is the spirit behind it. The spirit behind Arjuna's statement is despondency, Vishada. So Arjuna's problem is not ignorance. Avidya is not his problem. His problem is Vishadam. Solve my Vishada is what he is going to ask. That is also coming only in the next chapter. In the first chapter is describing our suffering. So what is happening here is the samsara is as experienced by us, he is explaining it. What is the samsaric life? The samsaric life is full of pain, sorrow. Extreme of that, in a sudden situation, he encounters. Now, this is where the difference between us and Arjuna. Arjuna realizes it because of its suddenness. We don't realize it because it is gradual. It's exactly like the very famous experiment they did. A fellow took a frog and dropped the frog in a hot water, boiling water. It just went in and immediately it jumped out of it. Right. Hot water it is. Then they took the same frog and kept that frog in a normal temperature water and started heating it. And they did the heating through candles. Imagine how long it will take. With a candle flame to heat water took hours together actually. And what was interesting they found was the frog got adjusted to the heat, adjusted. It was so comforting initially, it sustained in it, never jumped out and ultimately perished. In fact, the temperature they calculated when the frog jumped out in the first case went past well ahead actually. It crossed that heat also. It sustained that heat. So they inquired, how is it possible? Why? Because as the heat is increasing so marginal, so little, the frog was adjusting himself to, adapting himself to that heat. And in fact, initial experience of the frog was a pleasure. So cold water, it is a warm water now. It's such a pleasure it is for that frog. So it adjusted. And this is the difference between a common samsari and Arjuna. No other difference. The first frog and the second frog. Arjuna is the first frog. So he looks like a seeker. Hey, he wants to jump out of it as quickly as possible. Why? Is because it's a sudden experience for him. Suddenly he experienced Vishadam. Now from where that Vishadam came for him, and consequence of that Vishadam is what the first chapter is. The cause of his Vishadam is his attachment. His attachment to his people. If we would have removed all his relatives, right, whoever he calls as relatives, remove all those people out of the scene and keep rest in the battlefield. No issues for him. He would have continued the fight. He would have started. He won't even ask him to go and place a chariot and all that. He would have shot the arrow. Killing is not his issue. Killing my people. Don't ask me to kill my people. And he goes on telling Krishna, Madhusudana, Janardana, all those terms. He keeps calling him. You know, you killed all those fellows, man, who are not relatives. Right? Unknown people you killed. He has also killed lots actually, Krishna. Murdered so many of them in the battle. Now, you have killed all those people who are non-relatives. Now, my situation is different from your situation, Krishna. So, don't compare yours to mine. I am different and yours is different. I have to kill my teacher. You never had to kill your teacher. Right? I had to kill my teacher. Now, how can I do that? You don't have to kill your grandfather. Now, why he doesn't want to do all those things is exactly the behavior of a child. It's a kiddish behavior. Now, that's where we say, in first chapter, we don't have philosophy, but lot of psychological implications we have here. There's no philosophy here, the first chapter. But there is a lot of psychology for us. What is that? Arjuna goes on saying, I don't want to kill these people. I would even go and beg. It's better to live as a beggar. Now, has he ever lived as a beggar? It does happen actually. You know, these Pandavas, after they, established Indraprastha and all that, they lived. And then those fellows had an agreement. Because 5 husbands, 1 wife, no. There should not be any confusions. So they had an agreement. The agreement is Draupadi will be living 1 year with one person. One palace she will be. During that time, nobody else should go and see. If they see means they have to go for yatra. For 1 year they have to live as a sannyasi. Go to all the kshetras and all this tirtha yatra they have to. In those days they used to go to the rivers. Now we go for, then it becomes sthala yatra. Now there is no tirtha yatra. Nowadays we do sthala yatra. You go to a particular place. In those days they used to go for tirtham, water. So tirtha yatra he had to go. This fellow went for tirtha yatra. When he went for tirtha yatra, he came back with 2 wives. This is Arjuna. Now this fellow says, I will become a beggar, I will become a sannyasi. If he become sannyasi, goes to Himalayas, what he will do there? Huh? And the fellow says, I am going to do tapas. In the 13 years he did tapas. So I am going to do tapas with Shiva. And what did he do there? How he met Shiva? They have kept all the Gandhirva and everything aside. And the fellow took a stick, thread, and made a bow. And he shot a pig. And then Shiva says, I am the one who shot it first. And this fellow fought with Shiva. Now for a pig, this fellow fights. And he says, what? It's better to live on alms. Even if the 3 worlds were to be given to me, Krishna, I will not take it. Yes, one pig the fellow cannot give. He say, okay man, chalo you take. Because he knows now. Even if that fellow takes, he can go and shoot another one and eat, right? As if in the entire forest there is only one pig there. No. One pig he cannot give up. He says, entire kingdom we can give up. Now you think Krishna is going to believe all that? He is not going to believe all those things. He just keeps quiet. Now when he says, I don't want all that, is it really he doesn't want it? He says, I don't want it under a condition. Isn't it? The condition he gives is this. Under the condition of destroying all my people, I don't want kingdom. He never says, I don't want kingdom. Killing them, I don't want kingdom. Why? Huh? Is it true? Why? This is how we study first step. There is no philosophy here. He is doing exactly what we do. He is saying exactly what we say. Childish behavior. They say bala. There's kids. The child will do the same thing. A child gets first prize. Chess competition, first prize. The school. And then running race, 100 meters, first prize, fellow. And in chemistry, he got first. And then as a sports team, they have selected him as the best sportsman for the year. So he is going to get 4 cups, 2 cups and 2 medals. Now the child is going for the school day function. And when his name is called out, he goes to the stage to receive that cup and the medal from the chief guest. As he is receiving that, where his eyes will be? Will search for where my parents are sitting, is it not? Imagine his parents are not there. They say, every year you are getting boring man. They are not coming. If they were to say, how the child would feel? See, the child wants the cup. It's not that he doesn't want the cup. He doesn't want to win. He doesn't want recognition. He wants to be recognized. He wants to be appreciated. He wants to be done. But all those things should be happening in the presence of my people. My mother, my father, my grandfather, my cousin, my brother, my sister. They all should be sitting there, and then I should receive it. When I receive it, I am not receiving it just for the sake of receiving it. I receive it only to show to my people how great I am. Isn't it? Otherwise, there is nothing interesting. The same problem for Arjuna. Now, if Arjuna comes victorious, the first thing he will do is what? He will rush to Drona and tell him, sir, you know, I won over Shiva. You know, I met Shiva and fought with him, hand to hand, wrestled with him. You know, how was it? And Drona should be there to hear that. Bhishma should be there to appreciate it. Wow, excellent, man. Very good. Great you are. He should receive that. If he is not going to receive that appreciation from his person, he says, no point in having anything. Isn't it you get irritated many times when you go for wedding? A lady goes to a wedding, a saree, new saree, she puts on and she goes. And she expects her people to register and ask, where you got this? Thodu romba nalla iruke. Enga vaanginai? You have to ask. If nobody asks, let's say, what happens to her? She gets irritated with all those people. Why she gets irritated? See, you wanted to acquire something, you got it, no? You like something, you like that particular dress, went to the shop, there are 100 sarees you see, you saw this one, you liked it, you picked it up, and you put it on, and you have seen in front of the mirror and how gorgeous it looks. You looked at it, you enjoyed it, right? Leave it at that, no. Do we? No. Every one of us try to achieve, acquire, receive anything only if it can be shared with somebody who is related to us. That someone could be blood related, someone could be your neighbor, someone could be a stranger. It doesn't matter who it is. That who it is where we call as the herd. Right. Now, which group that you feel you belong to? That's called a herd. That's what we refer as herd instinct. Means what? There is a group and I feel that I am part of that group. Now, once I feel that I am part of the group, then what I do? Anything I achieve, anything I do should be recognized and appreciated by that group. If that group is not recognizing that, if that group is not registering that, I get irritated. Now Arjuna's condition is not that. Arjuna's problem is the entire herd is going to be wiped off. If he has to get this, it is possible only after removing the entire herd. At least his few are going to be left out. We can understand. But unfortunately for him, both the sides people are going to die. That's what happened in India. After Mahabharata war, they give the description. What happened post-war? There was not a single family in the country where they have not at least lost one man. The entire country. Even in World War II did not happen. Even in Japan this did not happen. Where the entire country suffered a loss of at least one man. It's a huge impact. It's a very big effort. Because the calculation goes like that. How many people got killed in that 18 battalions? So a huge number for that population. Now not for today's population. And today's population like that we can have 2 more wars. Still we will not have enough space in India. That much is our population today. Now in those days the population was not like that. It was very less. In that scenario, to have lost every family, one man at least, is a huge impact. It has so many implications in fact. That's what he is explaining in this chapter. What all will happen as the post effect of war. Is it required? All those things he asks. But then his entire argument of, I don't want the kingdom, I don't want to fight this war, is not because he has renounced it. His problem is only one. these people will not be there to appreciate my achievement. Destroying all these people, what's the point of achieving all this? Very logical, isn't it? Correct, no? All of us will agree, correct here. This is where it's very important for us to understand the herd that you belong to. Remember, you can never live without any herd. It's an impossibility. It's a question of understanding the dynamics of your herd. That is the difference between all of us. Now, what is the fight we have? Generation gap, we say. What is the generation gap? The herd that the parents belong to is different from the herd the child belongs to. So the child says what? The values, the behaviors, the beliefs, the ideas, the practices of that herd as stupid. We dismiss it. Why? Because I don't belong to that herd, you see. But what about my herd's values, my herd's behaviors, my herd's conduct, character, values, all these things? This is what we do. That's why we have a fear to move away. Now, what is the difference, sir? This is the only difference. That's why the parents always say, sir, in our community, this is not allowed. And the youngster says, you don't live for the community. Are you living for yourself or are you living for your community? And the logic will look perfect. Of course, no, correct. But we go and ask that fellow what he is doing. He has a group, right? What he calls as his friends. They all do the same thing. Like we had a group in Chennai. If we go to one temple, one fellow identifies a temple, all of us will go to the temple. And then I identified a place. All my friends came. This is the law. That's where the danger of, meeting a group itself. If it hits, the whole group will be with you. If it's a failure, whole group will leave you. As a group, when they come for shopping, for purchase and all that, it's a very big risk. That's why the moment a group comes to buying, if you see the retail shops, only the best salesman will come. Everybody will not attend to that one. Individuals, people can attend. The group, the dynamics problem is, if one person says, but the whole thing is gone. So the whole group will go with that fellow. Whether it is logical, whether he is right or rational, there's no point. The behavior of people is always like that. Now Arjuna's problem is, his whole herd is going to be wiped off. Now with whom he will show? After all we achieve only to show to our people. If nobody is going to be there as my people, means what's the point of achievement? This is precisely what is referred as attachment. This is called attachment. Now this attachment produces Vishadam, sorrow, despondency comes to him because of that. Now once that Vishadam comes, so attachment produces sorrow, agitation, disturbance, right? Depression, dejection. All this is stemming from where? From attachment. Attachment is the sole reason for all that. And in Arjuna's case, he could recognize it. Why? Because it's a sudden experience for him. In our case, we could not recognize it. Why? Because it is the second frog. And the first frog had an option. The second frog is in a fatal position. First frog has an escape route. The second frog is more dangerous. That is why when you adapt yourself. Now that is most of the time. You don't expect anything, sir. Should not expect anything from people nowadays, You are a Buddha or what? Why you say I don't want to expect anything from people? It's a childish behavior. As a father tells the child, today evening we are going out for dinner. Where we'll go? Taligai. Taligai dana? Taligai. Pola. And unfortunately, the fellow goes to office, there is a labor fight, and the union leader came and there was a commotion in the office and this and that. The fight extended. It was 9:30 when he left the office. He comes home 10:30. The wife is not opening the door. That's how we identify. If any man has a key for the house, we know. Yes, correct. 10 வருஷம் ஆச்சு கல்யாணம் ஆகி. So new wedded means, they will open the door. After 15 years, who will open the door? They have one spare key. He opens and walks in. The lights are all off. So quiet it is. Only then he remembers, my God. And the wife is so angry. At least you could have called and informed me, I would have done something. Some alternative I would have arranged. This, that, blah, 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 all the fight goes. Next day morning the child wakes up and he looks at him and he cries, he fights, he shows his anger and this and that, all that. And then the father says, after about 3-4 months, he again says, this weekend we are going to Ooty. Right? We go to Ooty. Kodaikanal. Where we will go? Kodaikanal will go. He goes to Kodaikanal. And the child goes and tells his friends and his parents, his neighbors and this and that, all that he says, and this fellow also does the booking and shows the child that, see, I have got the booking done, everything is done, everything is perfect, and suddenly Friday afternoon, he calls and says, program cancelled. Why? The boss is coming from Bombay. So he wants me to be here. So I cannot leave. The weekend there is a meeting. Now what happens to the child now? Again disappointed. 4th time when the father says, I am going to buy you a cycle. What the child will say? First you buy, let's see. And he goes. Pakla. Now when he says that, has he understood? No. It's not that he has understood expectations is wrong. No. My expectations has given me problems. Because whenever I have an expectation, my expectations had been led to disappointments. So, to avoid disappointments, what I should do now? It's a good defense mechanism. You just put a fence around yourself and protect you. As what? I am not going to expect anything from my father. You cannot trust whatever he says. So non-expectations goes to what? I cannot trust whatever he says. Now for the child, the parents is the whole world. So if I cannot trust my parents is equal to world, what is world then? You cannot trust the world. This is what we are doing. Now when that fellow grows up, he says what? And he comes to Vedanta class. In Vedanta also we say what? Don't have any expectations. Correct, sir. You are right. Correct also, sir. Yeah, perfect. Now what he says is totally different from what you are saying. Even though we are using the same word. No expectations is what the scripture says, the master says. And we also say what? No expectations. Now, no expectations, therefore both are same. On paper, yes. But in spirit, world of difference, remember. This is not because your expectations are leading to disappointments. If it is your expectation and your problem is double, because others also expect from you, is it not? And that's where we also give the same advice. Don't expect from me. You should not have any expectations. You heard in the class? You should not expect anything from me. Why? The problem is, with expectations, the fundamental issue is this. If expectations are not met, it leads to disappointment, stress, problem. If expectations are met, expectations increases. You will expect more. Like he says, no, Oliver asked for more. If the child were to get 60 marks, what do you say next? 70. And a fellow gets 70. Are you going to say, excellent man, from 60 you come to 70. Very good. Stay with it. No? You will say what? 80. If he gets 80, what do you do? 90. Every time you meet the expectations, always the other party starts expecting more from you. Therefore, the cunning mind says what? Don't allow them to escalate it. How? By creating disappointments. You disappoint that person. And when you disappoint that person, what they will do? They will get into the shell of defense. What? No expectations. Now marriage is a happy marriage. There is no fights between us, sir. Ours is a good marriage. What do you mean good marriage? Both have understood the equation. What? If I meet the expectation of that person, I know for certain they will ask for more. Therefore, I am not doing it. This is what we did. When I, passed 12th, we used to get in those days, mark sheet will come 2 days later. I'm saying in 90. Mark sheet la school. I passed and, my family was in jubilee because nobody expected. That's how you should maintain. Pass means, they threw a party in my house. And 2 days later, I went to school and I brought my mark sheet also. And my father, after school, he came back in the evening. So, mark sheet vandutta? I said, yes. I kept it in the puja room. All those things we do perfectly. So I took it out from puja room. My father was, he immediately took his glasses on and he saw the mark sheet. The first statement of his was this. இதுக்கு நீ ஃபெயிலே ஆயிருக்கலாம். In Bangalore, I don't say these things. I know it's only one class, so it's okay. I can say this and escape. In Bangalore, I can't say this. It's a risk, You fail your expectation is what? Will I pass or not, right? I passed. Next step is what now? Badri was asking me, college, Vivekananda? Application go to won't even give application form. The peon will not even give application form either. There is a chance. Anywhere your expectation is met, what do we do? I will ask for more. Since I ask for more, what I believe the other party also will do? Ask for more. So every time you are meeting somebody's expectations, you are not meeting for their current level. You are always meeting for the next level. That's what Christ says. When your world is asking you to walk a mile, walk 2. The advice is superb. See, the world is expecting you to walk a mile, walk 2. Why? They say 1, but actually they want what? 2. So if they ask 2, what does it mean? 4. You should go. And this is where the problem for us is. The escalation of your expectations goes in geometric progressions or arithmetic progression. It never goes reverse. Now, this is the problem of Arjuna. He had an expectation. And the moment he has an expectation from people around him, he expects everyone to be meeting that. So all his expectations is what? Remove all my people from the battle itself is with his relatives. Now what to do? Now no fault of his. And they have tried their best to avoid the fight. And including Krishna goes as a pacemaker. Now you and me may not understand the meaning of that. When that fellow, that Virata king, after their, Ajnadavasam, they identify this is this one, and then, Uttara gets married to Abhimanyu, and all those things are over, and then they decide to send a messenger. Who that fellow sends? He is not sending one of his ministers. The fellow who reads Panchangam, in those days there was a fellow who will be there to read Panchangam. He sends that Brahmin as a messenger, because going as a messenger was a derogatory action. Not like these days. A messenger is derogatory thing. It's not something which is dignified action. Now, Krishna says, I will go, and he volunteers to go as a messenger. And there is a lot of people, give this, contention against Krishna. He only instigated the war. I don't know how. On what basis they conclude that, I don't know. A person who goes is a king, right? He is ruling Dwaraka, this fellow. And when he is a king, and he goes as a messenger for these people, for what? Just to avoid that war. He tried his best. What more we expect from Krishna, I don't know. What else you want him to do? Beg? That also he has done. There is no other option. That's why for the establishment of Dharma, there are various applications we have. There are two types of Dharmas we have. One is called Samanya Dharma. Another one is called Vishesha Dharma. Samanya Dharma means universal code of principles. There's no differences there. It's universal for everybody, common for everyone. That's called Samanya Dharma in ethics. In code of conduct and ethics, they say there are two types of dharmas we have. Samanya Dharma, and then comes the Vishesha Dharma. Vishesha Dharma is particular, special to the context. And the context is what is referred by three things. Based on three dimensions, they define the Vishesha Dharma. Vishesha Dharma is defined by Varna, Ashrama and Kula. Family. Varna, which caste you belong to. And then, which ashrama, which stage. What stage of life you are in. Right. There are four varnas. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And then we have varnas. The varnas, this is a varna. Then ashramas, there are also four. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa. Then you have Kula Dharma. The particular family. In that particular family, there is a practice. Now, right or wrong is secondary. Now, that's where philosophy starts. Now, right now we are in the first chapter. We are not discussing the philosophical part of it. It's a practice. In practice, there is a method. Like we say, no, in our family, we don't have the practice of doing, the Gulu, you see, that Navaratri festival. In some families, they don't keep. In some families, they say it is compulsory. And then they say marriage should happen in a particular way. In our family, we do like that. In their family, they do like this. This is called Kula Dharma. In their family, it is done like that. Now, this is far, far more particularized. Now, wherever anything gets particularized, the value is dropped. Authenticity is less. So, don't search for scriptural authenticity for particularized things, because it comes as a practice. This doesn't come as this one. That is what his concern is actually. Arjuna presents his concern of killing all those people is because you cannot be protecting dharma by killing dharmis. After destroying the righteous people, how can you protect righteousness? Because righteousness has no existence apart from the people. Because righteousness cannot be given in the paper. You cannot write in a book and say, this is righteousness, and preserve the book, righteousness gets preserved in the society. That's not possible. History can be preserved like that. You can write. You can write, this is the event happened, this is the event happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. All those things can be preserved. After about 5,000 years later, somebody can take it out and read and understand what had happened. Then, that is history. But when it comes to dharma, righteousness, living, you cannot preserve dharma by preserving a book. By preserving the person who is living alone, it can be preserved. Otherwise, there's no choice. Or otherwise, all that we have to do is what? Take a book and keep that book. Right? Any book for that matter will do. It doesn't make any difference. But the righteousness cannot be preserved like that. Why? Because it is directly connected to this. It's exactly like saying, black cow. When I kill that cow, what happens to blackness? When the cow removed, blackness also removed. Can I preserve the blackness apart from cow? It's not possible. It's integral part of it. Same way, if you have to practice dharma, righteous lifestyle, a proper code of living, you need personality to do it. People should be doing it. Only then it has liveliness, it has life in it. Otherwise, there's no life in it. Otherwise, it's dead. So, preserving the people is more important. There, they say it comes under three broad classifications. Two basic classifications, Samanya Dharma and then Vishesha Dharma. Vishesha Dharma, immediately they will ask you, okay, which Varna you belong to? Brahmana. Okay, Brahmana, then where are you? Are you a Brahmachari? Are you a Grihastha? Or you are in Vanaprastha? Or you are in Sannyasa? Where are you? Now you have to specify that. After specifying that, they will ask you, what is this? Because that's the only way for us to learn things. Like how that has to be done. Let's say a simple action like prostration. Right? You learn to prostrate. How? Imagine, without telling anything to a person, you tell him prostrate, fall. How he will prostrate? That prostration, how it has to be done, you can understand it only by seeing someone doing it. Is it not? When you see someone doing it, you understand. That's what we see during lectures. Last day, Guru Prasad time, the first 15 fellows to stand in proper position and asking them to take is the problem. Once that first 15 fellows have done, then everybody will follow. The problem is to arrange the first 15 for us, isn't it? That's why we ourselves do set up. Our own fellows will go and stand. Hey, you go and stand, we'll say. Why? The moment that fellow stands, everybody sees that and automatically does. Otherwise, if I have to tell you and ask you to do it, straight away, it's very difficult. So by reading something, you cannot. So the only way to preserve things is how? That's why he goes on saying, Kula Dharma, Kula Dharma, Kula Dharma, Kula Dharma will go, Kula Dharma will go. When he is concerned about Kula Dharma, he is not referring to other three things. That's how we take a clue. He refers to which point? Now, Samanya Dharma, nowhere near. Varna, Ashrama, completely forgotten. His only concern is what? Family. Kula Dharma will go, no, Krishna. Which is correct. Theoretically speaking, correct. Because the way we learn things is only by seeing someone doing it. Is it not? When somebody does that only, it inspires you. If nobody is there to do it, it will not inspire. The age of 90, Swamiji goes for jogging. Huh? At least you will get up from your seat to go and have a cup of water. Correct? For that man has to jog at the age of 90. For you to make you move your back. With that much of disciplined life, you are able to see it. By reading about it, it will never inspire you. Impossible. It will not. That is why what he says is correct. The argument of Arjuna is theoretically correct. The tragedy is, the backdrop from which he comes is, he has already gone into the state of dejection. He is already depressed. Because first thing he says is what? My head is spinning, my mouth is parched, all the signs of depression he says. After getting the depression, he gives out the philosophy. We cannot take it as truth. Then what he is speaking, he is just blabbering, we say. Oh, Valarna. How do you know? It's a typical sign of depression. They will go on saying the same thing. This is the problem. And this is the problem of all the psychiatrists. Because they have to go on hearing the same thing from different people. It's very tough. The same person saying same thing itself is too much to hear. Hey, சரி அடுத்தது சொல்லுங்க சார் பாயிண்ட் நெக்ஸ்ட் பாயிண்ட் சொல்லுங்க புரிஞ்சிருச்சு எங்களுக்கு. Many times you feel that, isn't it? When we are trying to repeat something, we are explaining something, many of us will feel what? Okay, I have understood. Move to the next point. Move to the next point. Because the only way you can learn the subtler aspects of life is not by reading, only by seeing. Only by observing you can absorb. There's no other way. That's what happened to those Sanakadi Munis, the 4 Munis. They went in search of a guru. They searched. And first thing they remembered was Brahma. Brahma is the first person they thought. We'll go to Brahma. And they went to Brahma. The Brahma was so enchanted by the music of Saraswati, Veena. She was playing Veena and he was enjoying that. And these people went and saw. He thought he'll be sitting and meditating. The fellow is listening to music. And the lady is singing, playing Veena. He is listening to useless. And then they thought of Vishnu. Straight from Brahmaloka, they went to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha, the fellow was fast asleep. Wait, at least that fellow is awake. This fellow slept already. I say, what is this? And this lady is massaging the feet, and she also didn't pay any attention to these fellows. At least she should have woken. She is also involved in massaging. She is so scared, massaging the feet. That fellow will scold or something maybe. So perennially she is massaging the fellow's feet. And disqualified. Then they said, oh, last option is Shiva. Let's go. And they went to Shiva. There, that fellow is the worst of the 3. Fellow is jumping. And he calls that as dance. I don't know how. They call it as dance. But it's not actually dance. It is jumping in ecstasy. He does it with such a grace, it looks like dance for us. You jump, it will not have any grace in that. Jumping it actually. Nataraja is not dancing. He is jumping. Actually. He is not dancing. Now we think it's dance. That is because of the gracefulness with which he is jumping. That's about it. He is jumping there and this lady is also jumping. Everybody is jumping there. They got so disappointed. They said, we don't have any guru in this world. Nobody to guide. And then Shiva saw, very smart fellow he is. He registered these fellows, came, quietly left. He understood what happened. So he took a form of a young sannyasi, mendicant, and sat under a tree on their way back. Quietly was sitting there. And these fellows saw that boy, young boy sitting with such radiance, such tejas. They never saw that. And they saw this and they said, this is going to be our guru. And then those 4 fellows went and prostrated to him and started asking questions. What is this and what is that? What is this? What is? And he gave out the entire philosophy. Still they were not satisfied. Ultimately they said, sir, still we have not got that sakshatkaram. We have not achieved that realization. We could not get into that silence. We were not able to get that realization. How that is to be done? And that's the time he sat. Silent. That is the Dakshinamurti. Silent, it's not that Dakshinamurti never spoke. First he spoke. But these fellows said, we want the best of it. How to get it, sir? The only way to get it is how? By he getting into silence. He showed the way for these fellows to get into silence. Without which it's impossible. You can never get into things. How? Only by observing you can achieve. Like you learn music. How do you learn music? It is by observing the teacher. From where he is bringing that gamaka. From where it is coming. How he is capturing it. How it's done? By seeing the teacher singing, the student sings. Otherwise, you can never learn singing. Books will be there. We have this, classical music books. You can have the books. You can read the book also. But can you become a musician with that? It's not possible. Now you have to observe someone practicing dharma, living the dharma, because dharma is not in the books. It's in people living it. Now, Arjuna's problem is what? They are going to wipe out the whole group of fellows who are going to be living. Which dharma? Kula dharma only. Were they adhering to other dharma's rules? Arjuna's problem is not that. My family things will go, no. பேர் சொல்றதுக்கு ஒரு பிள்ளை வேணும் சார், பெரிய பேர். குப்சாமி, கோவிந்த்சாமி பேர். பேர் சொல்றதுக்கு ஒரு பிள்ளை இருக்கணும்ல. Now, any meaning in that? As if it's such a big name of yours. Huh? Tipu Sultan's sons, where are they? What is the family now? No clue we have now. It's gone. Ashoka's descendants, do you know? Who bothers about Ashoka's descendants? How many of us know the condition of Gandhiji's grandsons? Huh? It's just a matter of 60 years. And everyone is interested to maintain their family name. A family name. Our family, our family, our family. What your family? Is the lowest of the order. Now, Arjuna is stuck with that low order dharma. This is the problem of Arjuna. And his issue is only this. So that's why the first chapter has no philosophy there. Now, philosophy starts beyond the Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma. Because Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma is a discussion of the Dharma Shastras, ethics. Philosophy transcends ethics. You can't trespass ethics, please. You got to transcend it. The transcendence is called ethics, is called philosophy, is called religion, is called spirituality. Now, when you can't, bypass it. Don't try to bypass ethics. The problem we have is this: in the name of spirituality, we try to bypass it. We are not asking you to bypass. Bypassing is an abuse of it, misuse of it. Now, don't try to throw dust into the eyes of nature, please. It's not possible. Like Ramatirtha says, don't try to throw dust in the eyes of God, for you shall be blinded. Yes, don't try that. You cannot bypass ethics, but you cannot just get stuck with ethics also. Because ethics has a limited application. Because ethical applications were all condition based. The higher order of ethics is called a Samanya Dharma. Now, Vishesha Dharma is low order ethics. Because it's one data changes, one situation changes, the whole equation will change. As what is right to be done, what is wrong to be done, what is appropriate, what is inappropriate. So you can never understand what is appropriate, what is inappropriate by keeping Vishesha Dharma. But to start with, it's easiest form to do. So they said, first thing what you do your Vishesha Dharma first. Follow your Vishesha Dharma. In Vishesha Dharma, there are grades. First level is Varnashrama Dharma. Second level is Kula Dharma. The lowest order of Dharma is Kula Dharma. And his only concern is Kula Dharma will go, Kula Dharma will go, Kula Dharma will go. Which is correct. It will go. And it's very essential also for a society to be built, for generations to move along. We need a stable family background. For a character building, it's very important to have a stable family background. If the stability of the family background is not there, the character will not be deeper, it will not be subtle. So once that character deterioration drops, next generation is going to be further deterioration, further deterioration, further deterioration, further deterioration. From where the whole thing starts, they say, if you want to maintain order in the society, it is in the hands of women, not men. Social values, social culture to be sustained, it is in whose hands? It's given to Stree, women. That's why Stree Dharma is different, unique. For male, it is a different rule. For a female, it is a different rule. In terms of culture. But then people say, sir, just by retaining all these things, what's going to happen? Please remember, philosophically, yes, the content is important. The value is the content. But remember, by destroying the container, you can never preserve the content. Isn't it? Now that's what all of us have started doing now. Now all of us have understood what? Sir, content is important, sir. Container is not important. So you must understand what is temple. People ask, why should I go to temple? I said, I will explain to you, to your satisfaction, logically, scientifically, sociologically, philosophically, any angle you want, I will explain. But will you promise me that from tomorrow you will go to temple? I have asked this question at least to my memory, minimum around 200 fellows. I would have asked. Not a single person has given me the promise. Yes, sir, I will do it. Just to promise. I am not going to check whether you are going or not going. But you can't even say that. Why? When you are asking the question, why should I go to temple? You are not asking the question for you to go to temple. By asking the question, avoid going to temple. Why? Mistake is not mine. The problem is what? You have not explained me. You have not given me the logic. And 90% of us or 99% of us don't know the logic behind the temple. Therefore, we also do what? Keep quiet. Now remember, these rituals and these practices, all these things, everything is stupid. No value. Chocolate value or wrapper value? Huh? The chocolate is valuable, not the wrapper. Obviously, how can you have a valuable wrapper? Kaju Katli, if you buy, the fellows will have the silver like foil. Is it silver or what? Is he going to put a silver coating? Suppose if he says, I have put platinum. Kaju Katli mele pata. Diamond studded Kaju Katli. Have. Shetruvinga. If you eat means. Remember, always the container will be redundant, useless, valueless. But the tragedy is, you can never protect, preserve the content without the container. Now what we have started doing is, in the name of believing, the content is the most important thing, sir, not the container. Therefore what we have started doing, destroying the containers. Without realizing, parallelly we are losing the content also. But rationally, if you analyze, the relative value of the container and the relative value of the content, always the content will be more valuable than the container. So anything you call as the practices and all those things, you probe into it, it will peel itself and say what? No meaning. So all these people's practices and all these things will look, the cultural values and all that will look redundant. The practices will look redundant. It is redundant. It is mechanical. Why we should do Gayatri Japa? By you doing Gayatri Japa, nothing will happen to you. Will you do it? How many of us will do? Imagine, first time you have to call someone for the class. How will you call them? First time you want to invite somebody. How will you call? One class is enough. Just try. That fellow will never turn back. Now we all speak, All the problem is what? Lack of intellect. Oh, children. How to build intellect? Vedanta treatise. Read Vedanta treatise, you will build intellect. Till today, nobody turned around and asked us, how much intellect you have built reading Vedanta treatise? Huh? We know what? Hey, it has not happened to me. I don't want to sail alone. Hey, pull 4 more fellows. Then we feel safe. Yeah. Now, how will you invite a person? You will always invite a person by showing him, by explaining to him, promising him X amount of exaggerated things that will happen after coming to the class. Is it not? That's how you motivate a child to go for school. As if he passes, 7th standard, his whole life is perfect after that. He passes 12th standard, whole life is settled. Once he gets into medicine, everything is settled. We know for certain till death, nothing is going to be settled. The only way to settle everything is die. Like Vivek Solana, Orre Kallu sir. Ella problem is solved. Very good. That's the only option you have. Now we know for certain, but then we all say with little exaggeration. That's what he says in Bhajagovindam. Kinchita Gita. How much you have to speak? Little bit of Gita. You read, that's enough. Yeah. All your samsara. Once you say Govinda is enough. One drop of Ganges water, enough. That's what one fellow went and asked Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Sir, one dip you take in Ganges, all Papa will go, they say. Every day I am taking dip, nothing is happening. Why? Ramakrishna, he got so irritated. He said, correct, Ra? When you are inside water, all your sins takes a form of a bird and goes and perches in the trees there. Now, veliya vanda now kandro. So the only way to avoid sin is what? What the scripture says is correct. What? Don't take your head out. Be inside Ganges. All your sins will be washed off. What else to do? Now, we cannot be preserving it, please. Now, what Arjuna has taken is the other way around. By preserving the container, content will get preserved is what his belief is. So, container matram pathana por sir. Pack it nicely. The packaging should be attractive. That's enough. Content-wise, don't bother. What is inside, don't bother. That was the mistake of Arjuna. And today what we are doing the mistake, exactly the opposite. The pendulum has swung from one extreme to the other extreme. That's all we have done. That is why Arjuna looks really dumb, dull for us. Now we will look irreligious for Arjuna. If Arjuna were to be standing here, he will look at all of us and say what? What religious people you are all? What spiritual people you are all? You are not spiritual at all. But what Krishna is going to say is this. He says, look here, you have to value the content. But at the same time, you cannot be destroying the container. Improve the quality of the content. Just preserve the container. That's enough. Now, when you wanted to keep things, right, where you clean more, inside or outside? Many cars we see, they clean, where they clean maximum? Outside. Now where you are sitting, where you sit, you don't clean. Outside should be clean for you. Your whole life is lived with wrong values, effort in the wrong direction. Clean inside first. And then what? Outside, let it be relatively also okay, doesn't matter. So long as that is maintained, is enough actually. Just the maintenance dose is sufficient, but you have to work on improving the content. The content is your spiritual growth. Arjuna suffers from a psychological problem. And remember, all problems of humanity are psychological. It's a psychological problem. For a psychological problem, there are 3 solution possibilities. You can approach a psychological problem through physical, like what we do, drugs and all that. These chemicals, all those things, or even taking drinks, alcohol, or the drugs or the chemicals under the dosage of the psychiatrist. All those things is dealing with your psychological problem through your physical body, through chemicals, through drugs. You can reach. Second one is, you can approach to the psychological problem through psychological methods. This is where we have very many therapies. Behavioral therapy, logotherapy, this therapy, that therapy, I don't know, therapies are there. Some therapy they'll do. Psychoanalysis, they do this. There's no drugs or anything there, but there is psychological problem, psychological solution. For a psychological problem, physical solution. Psychological problem, psychological solution. And what Krishna offers is spiritual solution. Because there is no such thing called spiritual problem. Spiritual solution alone is possible. There is no spiritual problem you can have. All problems are psychological. Now, to a psychological problem, you can provide a spiritual solution to it. This is what makes Gita different from Arjuna giving advice to Uttarakumara. In that fight, when the entire battalion attacked Virata state, Uttarakumara said, I am going to fight with all those fellows single-handedly. And this fellow Arjuna comes as a driver for him, charioteer for him. The moment he saw the army, he got scared and jumped out of the chariot and started running. Uttarakumara. Then he goes and brings him back and gives him an advice. You should refer that when you are reading this. Beautiful advice he gives. All such advices were all what? He gives advice as a psychological motivational talk, pep talk. Krishna is not going to give a pep talk to Arjuna. Now, this is not a pep talk he gives. He gives a spiritual advice, a spiritual solution for a psychological problem of Arjuna. So the problem of Arjuna is what? He is experiencing the dejection, Vishadam, caused by his attachment, Raga. So that Raga, the attachment, that likes, dislikes, desire, has caused the Vishadam. That Vishadam further develops into delusion. These are the 3 things happens to Arjuna here in the first chapter. His attachment suddenly expresses. Because of that, he experiences dejection, Vishadam. That Vishadam leads and clouds his thinking, gets deluded. From 38th verse onwards, we see him repeating the same thing explaining the whole thing, looking perfectly logical without this background. From the background, when you see, we understand what's happening to him. All that the first chapter explains is only this much. That's all we see here as a total scene. It sets the stage first. Who is who and what is what. Next thing, the moment Arjuna sees that, and that's where so many implications we get. We start our life as what? We wanted to dictate terms to nature, to God. You do like this. That's how he starts. Pratham Stapaya is go and place a chariot. Now, last thing Arjuna says is what? Nashto moha. So that moha is gone, he says. Now, he never says, my avidya is gone. This is gone. All that he could understand is what? His moha is gone, caused by shoka. That's all. That moha and shoka is gone for Arjuna temporarily. It's not permanent solution. Because permanent answer you will get only if he would have said, my raga is gone. All that he says is what? Nashto moha smriti. Only my moha is gone. My delusion is gone. Delusion comes after shoka. So shoka has caused moha in Arjuna. So he only says what? Only my moha is gone. To that extent my shoka is temporarily reduced. It's not that gone completely. Because for shoka to go, he has to eliminate attachment. The raga should go. The desire should go. That avidya should go. Only then permanent removal of dejection, despondency possibility can go. So all that he is seeking, he is not seeking as of now. He is experiencing shoka. He is experiencing only this. That is why that the chapter is titled as Vishadam. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. He is not experiencing his avidya. He is not experiencing his desire, his attachment, and he is not experiencing his moha also. He, as far as Arjuna is concerned, what he is going through is only shoka. Only my Vishadam is his problem. Now that Vishadam he is explaining. And chapter la point irukku. I don't know which verse you are doing, and I don't want to continue the verse. So he will come and do the verse. It's not appropriate, I felt personally, to do a verse when there is a teacher doing it. As a temporary one, so I said, okay, we'll just do the what do you call, the summary or the backdrop of the chapter can be stated. Now verse explanations, he'll come and do it. Right. Thank you.